So first thing we do here for this assignment, right, this show what you know errors in part 2, show what you know errors and events part 2, we open the collecting evidence graphic organizer. I recommend snapping it to the side. And again, there are 3 file folders numbered 1, 2, and 3, right? So for each file, you are going to open up, so for instance, here's file 1, right? You click it, it will give you a download prompt, then you open up the file. So here's file 1. Now, what they want me to do here is they want, right, economic, social, political, and economic, social, political, and environmental artifacts of the era. Your task is to examine the artifacts and determine and make your best guess as to what the era is. So what you need to do is you need to open up the graphic organizer, and you'll need to open up files 1, 2, and 3. Here's file 1 right here. And we see right here, we have a bunch of different terms. We have to categorize them. So we know this is, right, the 1920s and 1930s, right, Great Depression and New Deal, okay? That's because we see all of these vocab terms from that era. Now, they gave us one example, Supreme Court packing, political artifact, New Deal. We could do Tennessee Valley Authority, environmental. Remember, that created jobs and helped terraform areas during the Great Depression. Hoovervilles were the slums built to mock, or rather slums named built or to mock the failed policies of Herbert Hoover. That would be a social effect. Relief, recovery, and reform, right? Remember, that was the 3-part strategy to rebuild society. That would be economic. Then we have number 5 here. You could do, now again, you just need another one. We could do bread lines. So we need one. We've got economic, we've got social, we've got political, we've got environmental. Make sure you have one of each. Bread lines, it could be social as well, right? That's when people had gone and lost their jobs. So then they had to work in bread line, they had to line up in a bread line, and they had to wait to collect welfare. They had to collect food. So now that we've done one, right, we pick a New Deal. New Deal goes right there. Life is good. Okay, the next thing you do is you go to file number 2. Oh, I skipped a step. Make sure that you open the naming the eras document. Naming the eras document is what I had up right here. That's just where you pick the name of what we should really put this stuff. Okay. So file number 2. Let's see here. File 2. Pull this up. Okay. So now we've got file number 2. This looks a lot like, we see advertising, Model T, immigration quotas, Harlem Renaissance. This looks a whole lot like 1920s, Roaring 20s. Okay, so we could put racism. That's a social effect. Jazz. That's a social effect. Let's see, consumerism, that would be economic. Now we need something that's political. 18th Amendment, right? Making alcohol illegal. And so we have ESP. Now we need an environmental one. What would be environmental? Teapot Dome scandal, right? That's when they had that illegal leasing in the land in Wyoming. We could at least say that's probably environmental because it's an abuse of federal lands. Okay, now we need to come up with a time period for this based off the naming conventions. Rise of big labor, growing pains and gains, age of limits. Bang, we would do the Jazz Age for sure, right? Jazz Age. That happened in the 1920s. This is the rise of jazz. Okay, now we're on to the final document here. File number 3. Let's see here. Okay. Under file number 3 in our artifacts, we have sinking Lusitania, militarism, armistice, Zimmerman. We know right away this is World War I, right? So you could say something like Victory Gardens. You could say that's environmental, right? That's where they grew food because all the war effort left the home front and it went to the war front. Let's make sure we spell environmental correctly. You could do Treaty of Versailles that ended World War I. That would be political.